Hello and welcome back. Remember, we are learning about consumers' behavior. Last session, we have learned about the law of demand. In today's discussion, we'll talk about the meaning of elasticity of demand, and simultaneously, we'll learn about one of the methods to calculate elasticity of demand, that is the percentage method. There are two more methods that will deal in due course of time. At the same time, we'll look at the types of elasticity of demand and the factors determining elasticity of demand. We have learned about the law of demand, like I've said, and the law of demand tells us that there is a positive or opposite, I mean to say, or inverse relationship between demands and price. When the price is high, demand is low. Is that it? So when price increases, we tend to buy less. That's law of demand. And opposite is also true. When the price is low, we tend to buy more. So price high, buy less. That's law of demand. But but sometimes when due to the rise in price, the way we buy less differs from case to case, from people to people, person to person, place to place. It depends. It's not it. Even if the price increases by the same amount, people will react differently. So the elasticity of demand talks about that reaction of the people, the response of the people to that change in price. Change can be an increase in price or a decrease in price. So on some goods we are very responsive to price changes. When the price falls, we really buy more. When the price is high, we really buy less. That's the response, which is very responsive, very positive. But there are certain other cases or certain goods where we are not so responsive. Even if there is a fall in price, we do buy more, like the law of demand says, but we do not buy as much as the change in price, so to say, as well as the fall in price or the rise in price. So that responsiveness of demand to the change in its price, that is price elasticity of demand. Okay, so it is the percentage change in the demand for a good. This is the percentage change in demand for a good. A good can be any commodity, divided by percentage change in the price. Change in the price. So you have to look at the change in demand in terms of percentage and divide it by the change in price. Then you'll be able to get some answer. That answer, whatever be the answer, that will be the elasticity of demand. Okay, so elasticity of demand tells us the response of demand due to the change in price. A response of demand due to the rise in price, due to the fall in price. How much do we respond? Okay, you can also denote the percentage change in demand as delta Q by Q. Delta is change into 100 means percentage divided by percentage change in price. Percentage change in price is delta P by P. Delta is change in price by the P, which is the original price. All this equation you can rewritten as delta Q by Q. This division you simplify as multiplication. The P will go up and delta P will go down. This is the formula for price elasticity of demand with percentage method. ED is called delta P. Delta P is the change. Delta is change always. Change in the quantity. Q is the quantity or the demand. And delta P, this delta P is a change in price. Okay, so remember this formula, delta Q by Q into delta P. Delta Q by Q into P by delta P. Okay, or you can also say delta Q by delta P into P by Q. You can bring this delta along with the delta of Q, and you can bring this Q here. Interchange between Q and delta Q also the same. Okay, so let's look at the example to understand what is that response of the change in price. Let's say that the price that is prevailing in the market is 5. So at price 5, which is the original price, we can say P1, this person buys banana 15 quantity, 15 numbers of bananas at price 5. That is the original demand, Q1. Okay. But when we talk about demand or elasticity demand, we want to change, we want to see what is the change in price and what is the response of demand. Then only we'll be able to understand. Is that it? So when the price hasn't changed, then there is not such thing as demand or law of demand, like I mean to say, or elasticity of demand. So the second case, if now the price has risen from 5 to 7, P2 now is 7, these individuals also respond because it has becoming costly now, respond to it by buying less from 15 to 12. So when we get this number now, you can fit this number in that formula and get some answer. Okay, so let's try to find first the uh, percentage change in demand. Percentage change in demand, which is delta Q by Q into 100. Delta Q by Q to 100. Delta means Q2 minus Q1. Q2 minus Q1, meaning Q2 is how many you buy after the change in price. Q1 is the original price, so 12 minus 15 by 15. 15 is the original price into 100. So 12 minus 15 by 15, the answer is minus 20. Okay, minus 20%. Minus means less. You buy less. You demand less. By how much? By 20%. What is the percentage change in market price? Is delta P by P1 in that case. We know P1 is 5, but the delta is 5 to 7. So you minus from the change in price 7 minus the original price, 7 minus 5 by 5. You simply put these numbers. So it's 2 by 5. 2 by 5 is 200 by 5 is 40. So what do you see from here? The percentage change in demand is minus 20% due to the percentage change in price, which is the increase in price with 40%. Price increase with 40%, you buy less by 20%. Okay, so you see this minus here. Minus means the opposite, decrease. Okay, the point to note is that while calculating the elasticity of demand, you may get this negative number because you buy less. But for simplicity, will um, will neglect the negative sign, will take only the absolute value. Will not consider the sign. We understand the minus means you buy less, but let's compare only the absolute value. The 20 of the percentage in quantity and the 40 percentage change in price. So when you put that in the formula, percentage in quantity 20% by percentage change in price is 40, what do we get? We get 20 by 40 is 0.5. 0.5. 0.5 meaning you do not respond much to that rise in price. Of course, you have bought less. Rise in price, you buy less. You buy less, but you don't really buy less as the rise in price. You respond less. You are not very responsive. So, in this case, the percentage change in quantity demand 20% is less than the percentage change in price 40%. 20 is less than 40. Your demand is less than change in price. Your change in demand is less than change in price. So that's why you get point. Okay, so in this case, the elasticity, if we call it the elasticity, which is less than 1 or inelastic. So we talk about the method, but at the same time we get the first type of elasticity, that is less than 1. ED is less than 1, meaning inelastic. Less than 1 means 0.1, 0.2, point from the beginning. Point something, 0.9, 0.99, but not 1. It's less than 1. So the answer, if the answer you get is point something, understand it is less than 1, it is inelastic, it is the case of not very response to the change in price. You don't respond much. And where do you experience such a kind of a response? It is when you buy essential goods. essential goods that you use daily at home, like rice, milk, and so on. Is that it? In that case, you don't respond much to the change in price because you need them anyway. You have to buy them. High price, low price, you have to buy them, but you don't buy much, even if there's change in price. So that is the real case scenario where when we buy things we need at home, it is of this type, inelastic, less than one. However, there is another type, second type, which is when the percentage change in quantity demand is more than the percentage change in price, the demand is highly responsive. Here, not very responsive, highly responsive. So when you calculate, you'll get the answer which is more than one, not point something, but more than one. 1 point something, 1, 2, 3, 4, more than one. So in that case, that is the case of elastic demand. So when it is more than one, the ED is more than one, then that is the elastic demand. Inelastic, elastic. Less than one inelastic, more than one elastic. Elastic demand is the case of luxury goods, the goods that we do not need every day, the goods that are not that important. You can live without them. You buy them only if you have the capacity, but you can wait for buying them. So you look at the price. When the price is low, then you go and buy. You respond to the change in price. When the price is high, you don't buy much because you do not need them. So you respond. You see the change in price, then you respond accordingly. So this is the case of elastic. Let's look at an example with the same um, numerical example of the change in price. Suppose the what we talked earlier about inelastic zero point 0.5, let's say that is for the case of first individual A. Let's now look at the case of individual B. Even though with the same change in price increases from 5 to 7, so that percentage change in price is 40, same for the second individual B. But let's now look at his response. Because the price has risen from 5 to 7, he will buy less from 15 to 8, not 15 to 12. The first individual buy less from 15 to 12. The second individual 15 to 8. You compare, he's really buying less. So let's try let's find out what is the percentage change in quantity. So if you calculate, you'll find the answer will come to 46.7. 46.7 is greater than 40. So you understand, the percentage change in demand 46.7 is greater than the percentage change in price 40. So when you calculate the elasticity of demand, percentage change in quantity demand 46.7 by percentage change in price, you'll get 1.17. It's greater than 1. It's not point something. So that's why it is the case of greater than 1 elastic demand. So these are the first two types of elasticity of demand. The first case of individual A, where he doesn't respond much, 20% to 40% inelastic. Second individual response 46 to 40, more than one elastic. Okay, so these are the two types of elasticity of demand. The third type is that when the percentage change in quantity demand is equal, not more, not less, equal to the percentage change in price, then it is equal to 1. It is not elastic, it is not inelastic, it is unitary elastic. So that is the third type of elasticity. If you calculate, you'll get exactly 1. Suppose the percentage change in quantity demanded is 40%. The percentage change in price is 40%. So the elasticity is 40 by 40% is equal to 1. Then in that case, whatever be the change in price, your response is exactly to that change in price. Okay, so that is the third type of elasticity, which is equal to 1. And if you look at the figure C here, you will see that the figure C, the demand curve is such that you call it as a rectangular hyperbola. It is such that when you extend this curve, it will become a circle. So, okay, so the case of the rectangular hyperbola, which is the sample of demand curve in example in this case, if you calculate any point on the curve, the change in price to the change in demand, you'll find that they are equal. So this type of curve has the property of equal elasticity. So that's why it has the uniquely elastic demand. Okay, and the last two elasticity is where the elasticity of demand is equal to zero. It can be so. When it is equal to zero, then this is the case where price may rise from 5 to 8 to 7 to 10, or the price may fall, demand will remain the same. If you buy 10, you'll buy 10. So your response is zero. Price is 5 rupees, you buy 10. Price is 15 rupees, you buy 10. Price is 25, you buy 10. Price may fall, price may rise. No response, zero. That is the third type of elasticity of ED is equal 0. But this is the case of perfect inelastic. When it is equal to 0, it is inelastic but is perfectly inelastic. When it is greater than, when it is lesser than 1, less than 1, it is inelastic. Equal to 0, perfect inelastic. And the second case B is such that when price is given, a small change in price, a small rise or a small fall in price will lead to a very large change in demand. Okay, a large change in demand to the extent that you do not know where it ends. There is infinite change in demand. In that case, you call it as the perfect elastic demand. Okay, you respond too much to the change in price, perfectly elastic. Then it is ED equal to the sign of infinity. So that is, these are the 5 types of elasticity. The first 3 are mostly experienced, mostly used, but these B and A and B, perfectly inelastic and perfectly elastic, they are the extreme cases where we also need to know. So those are the 5 types of elasticity. That formula, remember, is the percentage method to find calculation of elasticity of demand. And now, the last case, we'll look at what we have come across earlier, the factors determining the elasticity of demand. It depends on how we experience into everyday life. So the factors can be the nature of good and close substitutes. The nature of goods can be necessities like the food that we eat, things that we really need in our life, they are essential for our life. In such a case where the nature of goods are necessities, then we do not respond much to the change in price. And in that case, for necessities, for essential goods, the demand is inelastic. We have talked about that. Demand is less than 1. Inelastic. Necessities, inelastic. Okay. However, there are nature of goods which are luxuries, the opposite of necessities. In such a case, we all are very responsive to change in price. We look at the change in price, then we go at demand. So for the first case, the first factor, which is nature of good, if it is necessities, then the demand is inelastic, less than 1. If it is the case of luxuries, then the demand is elastic or greater than 1. Greater than 1 means we look at the price and we respond to it. That is the first factor, nature of goods. Second factor, close substitutes. There are goods which have substitutes that you can use one over the other. It depends on the price. Not it. If you look at the demand for food, generally they are elastic because they are essential. You do not look much of the price. But if you look at specific food, then the demand are elastic when you have a choice that you can buy which one. Example here is pulses. Example as pulses. Pulses can be of very various types. There are varieties of pulses. So if the price of pulse A goes up, it has becoming costly to you to buy, expensive to you to buy, but there are other pulses as well. So you shift to others which you can substitute for the one that the price has risen. It's not that you can use them, you can consume them. then in that case, if that commodity has substitutes, that if they are becoming costly, you don't buy them anymore, you buy others which are same to them, then in that case the demand is elastic. But if substitutes are not available, if their price has increased, you cannot do anything because you cannot substitute them by other goods. There are no relate goods to them, not available substitutes. Then in that case, the elasticity is inelastic, less than 1. So the second factor is close substitute. If goods have close substitutes, then our demand is elastic, more than 1, because you can shift to others, you can compare the price. But if the nature of goods is that it does not have close substitutes, you have no choice but to buy them only, then you have to buy even if the price is high, the demand is inelastic. So those are the things that we need to learn today, and that's about from chapter 2. There are other things, like I've said, like the methods, like um, the um, the the derivation of demand from indifference curve. All these we will deal in later part. But at the moment, that's about from chapter 2.